I will call the meeting to order, and the meeting will begin. First order of business is to approve the minutes of the February 4th, 2020 School Bond Advisory Board meeting. I'm sorry? I'm sorry, that was the minutes. Okay. It's the approved minutes of March 5th, excuse me. They need to be approved. I need a motion to that effect. Would one of you out there make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting?
I'm showing it's been moved and seconded and I voted.
Yep.
Okay, it's been approved then.
Mr. Chairman, we're still waiting on you and Mr. White to vote.
Where do I vote? Oh, that's right. Okay.
You waiting for me to vote?
Say, what you gotta do? I gotta go.
Yes, Mr. White.
Yes.
Mickey, that was a voice vote.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Chairman, have you voted?
I can say approve, yes. You need me to do it on my handheld or on my computer? Approved. Next item. I'm sorry?
You have to roll call to make sure everybody voted.
No, you don't need a roll call.
Oh, did they all vote?
I
Yes.
think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell on the screen.
Next item is to receive Independent School District number 89, 2007 and 2016 school bond issue revenue and expenditure reports. I would recognize a motion that they be approved. Somebody needs to make the motion.
It's
It's made. There is a motion. Is there a second?
Yep.
We'll vote. Approved.
Is there a button I can click to vote? Do I have to voice vote?
Mr. White, if you click your Chrome button there down at the bottom so that you can switch back over to that other screen, that's where your voting button is.
I can't find it. I vote yes.
Very good.
And Mr. Chairman, we still need your vote.
I've hit the, I thought I hit the button. They're telling me I didn't. Okay, now.
Nope. You have to move it over here and now click the left button. Right there.
Okay, I voted yes. Next item. I got lost. Okay, next item is recommend Independent School District number 89 approve change order number 3, project SB 16-006, athletic fields at Northwest Classen, Southeast Star Spencer, and US Grant High School, a decrease of $45,000. Any
I move
comments?
approved.
Been moved. Need a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We'll vote.
I still can't find a box that I can vote. Where is it?
Well,
Vicki, can you help him?
Okay, Mr. White, if you'll press escape to exit out of the full screen on the Zoom.
Escape?
Correct.
Okay.
And at the bottom of your screen, if you'll click your Chrome button, that should bring up where you logged into PrimeGov. It's the red, yellow, and green circle.
Yeah. All right.
Do you have your buttons now?
Got it.
Next item, David Todd, you want to make some comments?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This next item is final plans and specifications for some tennis courts at Northwest Classen High School. We've got a short presentation. Human Tarabi is here to give you a quick presentation on that. So I'd like to turn it over to him.
Hello all. Can you all hear me just fine?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, very good. How are you all doing this afternoon?
well,
Lovely.
Very
We
good,
aren't
very good.
computer geniuses, I can say that.
It's all right. We're all in unprecedented times right now. We're all trying to navigate through all the different types of go-to meetings and Zoom and whatnot. So it's definitely been a challenging time for everyone. So completely understand. Do we have the presentation that's able to get up on the board? I believe I spoke to.
Hi, this is Mark Beck, Human.
Hey, yes, sir.
I cannot get the presentation up right now, but they have all been given copies of the presentation in their packets.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and start off. As you see, there's a cover page, so we'll just go on to the next page, which shows you an aerial map, a zoomed-in aerial map of Northwest Classen School. What we did is an overlay of the design of the 4 new tennis courts that we'll be putting there at the existing tennis court site. The existing tennis courts, just to let everyone know, as we'll see in the upcoming slides, are in fairly poor condition. We have a 48-inch stormwater line running underneath there, and I believe an 8 or 12-inch sewer line running underneath those tennis courts. So in lieu of demolishing and coming back with post-tension concrete, which would be quite a significant amount of money, and if anything were to ever happen to one of those lines, they would have to come back in and possibly tear those out and service them. So we feel it would be best, in lieu of the 6 courts that they currently have there, come back in, do an asphalt overlay, restripe it, retexture it, paint it, and provide them 4 new courts with the adequate spacing that it needs for practice. So as we go on to the 3rd slide, you'll see an existing picture of the courts. And as you can see, there's a lot of cracking and separation in the concrete there. There's a lot of spalling. Obviously, the equipment is very old, corroded, rusted out. The fencing is fairly new, however. I believe it was done fairly recently. So we will remove and reinstall the perimeter fencing and in between the courts as well. As we go on to the next slide, you'll see a more close-up picture of the existing conditions there. What we're going to do is come back in and we'll clean and remove any existing damaged surface and they'll route and fill the cracks with a hot rubber and apply herbicide. And then we'll come back in and do some edging and then overlay it with a 2 inches of asphalt. And then on top of that, they'll come back in and clean and prime it, install all the tennis fence, the post and the netting, and they'll come back with the texture on top of that. So as you can see, if we go further in, there's another close-up picture of the existing condition. As we move to slide 6, this is a project that we in our firm did for another school district. As you can see, this will be very similar to what we're proposing out there at Northwest Classen. You'll see the bleachers there. You'll see the sunshades. They will not be a cantilever, but instead they'll be a two-post, but they'll be very similar. Everything will be a black vinyl shade top. And then the perimeter of the courts will be gray, and they will be purple tennis courts that will reflect the school colors. So as you see, you can go further down the slides. This is around the updates. Will be very similar to the updates that we would like to make there at Northwest Classen. As we go to the project scope slide, you'll see that we have in there will be the asphalt overlay, the textured surfacing with the striping, all new equipment, all new tennis posts, all new nets. We do have a CMU block storage building that will be adjacent to the courts. That way they can store a lot of their equipment in there, which will also have power, and they can bring it out onto the court for their practice machines and whatnot. And that will be an alternate to the project, depending upon the pricing. So we'll decide later if we'll accept that or not. Metal bleachers, shade canopies, and sidewalk improvements. If you go back to, and I'm sorry, if back to the slide with showing the overlay and the tennis, you'll see some other sidewalk improvements and some other sunshades to the exterior and perimeter of the tennis courts. Those will be future site improvements that will be done in kind by Fields and Future. So they are, as a partner and a team member, they will also help improve this site, but it's not included in this bid. As we move on to the last slide, you'll see the project schedule. Obviously, with your guys' approval today, we would like to go out to bid, and that would go out next week, next Wednesday on BidSync. We will have a mandatory pre-bid at the project location on the 20th. And as soon as we get the bids in on the 3rd, and if we can award, and if everyone approves and we can award, we would like to get moving as quick as June 9th. We are projecting that this project, if they're able to begin sometime in the middle of June, hopefully they're done by the end of August. We don't see this being more than about 2 or 2.5 months for a project schedule for that. And right now, just to let everyone know, the field out there, the track around the football field is now in construction, and that will be complete probably around July. So they're going to have a whole new running track surface. They had updates to the baseball field, and with the tennis complex, it'll really bring this campus together, really give them a complete system. Now, these are not going to be anything but just practice courts, but it still allows them to provide that additional athletics for anyone that wants to sign up for tennis as well. So if you guys can all go now to your packet, if you just want me to roll right along, unless we have any questions from anyone regarding
I'd like to go ahead and vote on this number 5, and then we'll go get you right back involved.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, I do have a quick question on
Yes.
the thing. What were the additional things on the picture that were going to be the in-kind from Fields and Futures?
Okay, if you go back to the aerial, you're there off to the west of the tennis courts, you'll see some sidewalk improvements. Right now, it's just grade and sod out there, but we're going to connect sidewalks from connect the south sidewalk to the north sidewalk there, and then also bringing over to that oval kind of drive there and drop off. We also have a little area where we'll do some shade canopies that they have done on other sites in the P2G projects that have been in the last year, and provide some benches and maybe some picnic tables and whatnot, kind of create a little gathering space. And at some point down the road, maybe we'll put a little archway coming off that west entry that has a little archway with maybe a name that kind of brings that whole complex together, really defines that area. So from the road, as you're passing by, it kind of ties it all in together and brings you, as you come into that drive, it kind of introduces you to the overall sports complex that we're trying to create there at Northwest Classen.
Okay. And is there any lighting in the area?
There is no lighting right now because these are not going to be courts for any type of regional or tournament play, excuse me. They will not be holding any evening events. So currently we do not have any lights. However, with advanced technology of LED lights and their projections, we are able to come in. We have existing light pole bases around the perimeter that are going to be demolished, but the existing electrical lines will be capped. So at a later time, if we ever wanted to come in and provide any type of lighting for this, we'd be able to come around the perimeter of the tennis courts and tie back into the electrical, put up poles and put up lights without interfering with the improvements that were just made.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just thought, I mean, tennis courts, especially this nice, are hard to come by. So I didn't know if we would, if the public could use them at any point, you know, in the evening, then lighting might be nice. So, but that's all I had.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'd accept a recommendation, a vote for approval. Someone who needs to make the motion.
Showing up.
Okay, we'll vote.
Well, my voting was coming up, but now it's gone.
Are we okay?
Not getting active item.
We're still waiting on Mr. McLaughlin and Ms. Martinez Brooks to vote.
Yeah, I've lost my my voting thing is not coming up. All of a sudden, it's my Wi-Fi.
What do you see on the screen?
I've just got the agenda on the screen and nothing else is popping up. I hit active. That gives me to an attachment. Yeah, it was automatically popping up before on my screen. Is our internet working okay? Yeah, or else I'd be cut off here.
Did your computer go to sleep just a minute ago?
No, I've been, my laptop or my iPad has been on it. I'm just kind of playing around on it, make sure. So if it went to sleep, what would I need to do to maybe?
You would just need to go back to that agenda page, but you may have to voice vote on this item. If it went to sleep.
I approve.
I suspected you might.
I'm very excited about that. Can I add my excitement about this project too?
Absolutely. We know that you have it. Okay.
Yeah.
Are we ready for the next item? Next item.
Why am I voting?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir. Is everyone okay? So, and just checking, was my pace, everyone's fine? I wasn't hopefully speaking too
Yeah.
fast or anything.
Just
Okay.
hold on a minute, Human.
Yes,
This
sir.
next item again is final plans and specifications. This is for Classen School of Advanced Studies High School at Northeast, and this is for baseball field renovation. So we have Human Tarabi again.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, as you can see the aerial map here, and just to let everyone know, this is not the most current updated. It was one of the recent we can find. You'll see the baseball field that we're proposing there in the northeast corner of the site. That's also adjacent to the Northeast Community Center and parking lot. Please excuse the tennis courts to the south there. They have been demolished. And what you're not seeing to the southwest of this baseball field is a brand new and updated softball field in this aerial. So what we want to do is also give baseball the same amenities and facilities that softball has as well. And we'll come back to this aerial here, or let me stay here real quick. And before we move on, we have this Northeast Community Center parking lot in that community center right there. Our goal and mission for a lot of these school sites that have any adjacent community centers is to work in a partnership with them to create programs in the off school, off times, whether it's during holidays or Christmas or mostly in the summertime, to keep these kids interested, keep them out of trouble, find them with programs that they can come to these community centers and then bring them over to the facilities and allow them to use them and keep them interested in school and athletics and keep them out of trouble. So there's a whole bigger picture here that we're trying to do at many of these schools, is create these sports complex, not only for the schools, but then have partnerships with the communities as well. So as we move on to the next slide, real quick, this site actually is fairly, as far as the level and the grade is fairly all right. There are some areas that have some drainage issues, but again, it hasn't been upkept in a very, very long time. So we're going to come in, as you go to the next slide, you'll see the grandstand bleachers, what condition they're in, and the press box. A lot of this area, as you will see, as we scroll to the next picture, a lot of this equipment, a lot of this stuff is definitely not anything anyone should be getting near. It's practically deemed unsafe. I'm not quite sure how any of these kids were even practicing on this field. It should be condemned in a sense. But as you see, and you'll continue going on to the sixth slide, you'll see some drainage issues around to the west, and you'll see some drainage issues in between the bleachers and the grandstands and whatnot. So you can see a lot of the fencing is, the posts are leaning over. A lot of the chain link fence is ripped off. I went out there on this site visit one day, and these kids were actually in that bullpen batting practice, and they were kind of hitting around. And so we definitely need to bring this site up to speed and give them the baseball facility they really need. If you go to slide 7, which will show representative improvements, this is the softball field that was recently done that's located to the west of this baseball field. And so we are going to create almost an exact replica, other than some dimensions of the fields and dugouts and whatnot. But it's going to be exactly the same as far as what we see here as what we're specifying in the drawings and in the specs. A lot of split face block that's going to be used, a lot of post woven fabric netting, dugouts that are with CMU block that are grout filled and steel reinforced, so that way they can have longevity and durability. The concrete slab below the dugouts are going to have a 12-inch reinforced thickened slab, which will hopefully again create longevity and keep it from cracking or splitting and whatnot. The fields will be graded and leveled out. We'll get all new equipment, all new fencing, all new bleachers. As we move on to the next picture, you'll see a close-up of the dugout. You'll see some of the detailing here. We have some of these open face CMU blocks that were put in there to allow for light and air movement through there. You'll see a lot of the steel here. Everything's painted black. We're kind of keeping a sort of a continuity and a certain standard that we're going to set across the whole district from now on. A lot of the dugouts, a lot of the storage buildings, we want to provide a sense of identity across the entire district. We want every school to feel that they have equal to as every other school. So what you're seeing here is what we're going to try to make the protocol and the typical standard across the board for all the schools. So you'll see a lot of the update new fencing here, the posts. And as we move on to the next slide, it shows a little bit of the field, a little bit of the metal fence there, the foul pole. So a lot of the equipment. And as we move on to slide 10, just kind of moving along on here, you'll see more of the improvements here. And off to the right, you'll see a storage building there attached to the dugout, which gives them direct access onto the field. As we move on to the 11th slide, which is the project scope, as we just mentioned, we'll have a whole new graded field, irrigation and sod. The CMU block dugouts with the storage building, metal bleachers, foul poles, scoreboard, digital LED scoreboard, all new black vinyl coated chain link fence and metal fence, and then also some concrete paving and sidewalks. As we move on, the schedule is exactly the same as tennis. These are both going to go out at the same time. Their mandatory pre-bid will be on the same day. Tennis will be at 10 o'clock that morning. Baseball will be at 2 p.m. that afternoon. And with everyone's approval, hopefully we can, when the bids come back in on the 3rd, and we can get up and running hopefully around the first to middle of June. What we're projecting to schedule for baseball is hopefully by the end of October or early November for completion. That way, when they start baseball in the fall, or late fall, or I guess it's December or January, that they'll be up and running and have the facilities they need. If you guys don't mind going back to the second slide, which shows the aerial, back to that again, you'll see the concrete paving area behind the backstop, all new bleachers, dugouts, and you'll see a sidewalk that runs over to that drive right there. Again, we'll do some site improvements later on with an archway with a name and whatnot. That sidewalk there will go across the street, and then at some point we'll do future improvements to tie that over to softball. And then we'll tie this sidewalk all the way over to the east and tie it into that community center. Again, trying to create a partnership with them as well. And so this is just one piece of the overall sports complex that we would like to create over there at the Classen School of Advanced Studies High School.
Any questions? Hearing none, you want someone to make a motion to approve? Is there a motion to approve? Yes, people, okay. All will vote. I did vote. I have to do it now. Okay. Okay, everybody voted yes. Approved. Thank you very much for your presentation. Moving on, item number 7, recommend Independent School District number 89, ratify approval of a server room relocation project at Emerson North High School utilizing I-89 2016 school bond units.
Mr. Chairman, this is a somewhat unusual presentation or item here on the agenda. So I've got it on here as approval, but it's actually already been approved by the school board and awarded to a contractor. But they chose to use 2016 funds, and it's required that it come before this board. So I'm bringing it for approval, but I want to make sure everybody knows that it's already been approved by the school board.
I would recognize a motion to approve this. Oh, to ratify this, excuse the language. Okay, it's moved by Pete White. Will please vote. Just vote me yes.
Okay, now I take it.
Okay. Everything's approved. It's been passed. Next item. Recommend City Council ratify and approve addenda numbers 1 and 2 for FD Moon Middle School renovation. Award contract to L5 Construction LLC. Base bid plus alternates 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7. Cost $3,964,000. And approve the contract and bonds, project ES 84B.
Mr. Chairman, the good news on this one is that we're moving forward with FD Moon. The budget was right at $4 million. We were able to award all but 2 of the alternates. The 2 that we did not award was some stage curtains and a lift for the stage. With our contingency money, if we do have that still at the end of the project, we may be able to further award those, but we're just don't feel comfortable doing that right now and using the contingency money. But very happy to bring this to you and glad to get started on this.
Are there any questions?
David, on that FD Moon 2, is there any exterior painting or gutter work or any of that kind of included in this first phase?
You know, I'm sorry, that's taxing my memory. I should have had that here with me. Most of it's interior. I think there might be a little bit of exterior. Jason Fugate, are you on? Can you help out with that?
If you're talking about the first phase, David, it is a cafeteria, kitchen, and a couple of classrooms. We'll get to the exterior probably the next summer.
But it is included in this project, right?
Yes, there's some exterior work in the project, canopies, guttering, some stuff like that.
If you're driving by there, go look at the exterior that's facing the new fields that are on construction. There's been some painting. Basically, there's been power washing and some painting done. And then go around to the south side and go look at the difference. It's astounding, and it's not that much, you know. So, in case if we're able to accelerate any of that, and there's some funding, it's less than a couple $1,000s, and you get a pretty nice curb appeal difference. And I think that community will be proud of that. So, take a look if something pops up and able to do that. If not, you might have a donor that shows up.
Would you like to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
She made. Is there a second? Got a second? We'll vote. Got it passed. Well done. Next item, number 9. Mr. Todd.
Yes, sir.
Recommend City Council approve amendment number 7 for Capitol Hill High School and Spiegel Stadium roadway, parking lot, and storm sewer reconstruction, a decrease of $71,636.34. Accept the project and place maintenance bond into effect. Project ES 85.
So
Now
remember, this is some of the last of the Maps for Kids money that was used. This is the roadway that goes around Capitol Hill High School. Very pleased with how this turned out. You'll note that there is a decrease, and that's when we did the reconciliation for the quantities on the project. I've got Lydia Leslie here with Kimley Horn to do a real quick presentation just to show you how that project ended up. So I'd like to turn it over to her.
For Mr. Chairman and Board, I just want to say thank you for the privilege of working on this project. As slide 1 shows, you see at the very beginning, we have a lot of different elements on this roadway that were in poor condition. The main purpose of this project was to replace the roadway and to upgrade the storm sewer and to replace a parking lot on the
Quick
south side of
question.
the project. Yes.
I don't have this, are we looking at a slideshow of some kind? Because I don't see it on the agenda or the supporting materials. Am I missing it?
I think it's Jessica, I think I saw it on page 63.
Okay, so it's not in the supporting materials?
Yes, it is.
That's the materials, yes.
They're different. Try to go over here.
Got it, sorry.
No problem. Sorry for we can't visually see that, but hopefully you can see it in your packets. Are you all ready for me to continue? Okay. So the main purpose of the project was to replace the roadway, the storm sewer, and the south parking lot. We did want to include some additional items if funding was available, which included some on-street parking near the baseball and softball fields. We wanted to add an additional bus lane area. We wanted to repair some drive connections on the Senior Wellness Center and some of the other drive connections, and adding sidewalks for connectivity to the roadways and for the students as well, as add some additional ADA parking. So on slide 3, we show pre-construction and post-construction pictures. As you'll note on the left side is the pre-construction. We had a variety of concrete and asphalt pavement, and like I said, a lot of it was in very poor condition. And in the post-construction, we were able to make the roadway a consistent lane width across with this area in the bus area you're seeing on the right, that is some of our expanded bus area. We're able to make that a 38-foot wide roadway in those areas. The south parking lot was in really poor condition, as you see on the to the left. We were able to repave that area and also add in some ADA parking spaces. We had a total of 100 parking spaces in this area. And as I mentioned before earlier, that the bus lane was expanded. Earlier, we had the original bus lane was 220 feet. We've expanded that to 425 feet. So the original bus lane was just in front of the gymnasium area. We're able to add sidewalks and a bus lane for the students. And slide 6 was showing the area on the west side of the area near the ball fields. And that was in very poor condition. No one could, if you've been on that road, you know it was impassable. So we totally took out all the pavement and redid the pavement and added parking area in that area. In that area, we added 52 spaces with ADA parking and also. So our overall program budget was $2,205,000. Our original bid price, including alternates, was $1,828,459.25. And with the amendments and the changes, you see there in the change orders, the total construction cost was under our project program budget at $1.8 million roughly. So with that, I'll turn it over if you have any questions.
This is Tim McLaughlin. By the way, it just looks phenomenal. And as I've kind of joked, I think I lost a pair of socks going around that drive there. So can't thank you enough for doing a great job out there. And drainage is great and all that. We noticed one other thing. I think we've got it fixed. So this might be after the fact, but something to kind of look out for on kind of the punch list with the irrigation. There was an irrigation system for the baseball field. And I think with the when you extended the I guess the grass out into the west, there was a new irrigation system put in that then used the power of the existing irrigation. And so there wasn't enough power. We didn't put the ampage up for both the units or for both irrigation systems to run. But I think that is fixed, but I was trying to text to get an answer on that. So if we have an issue there, we got to go back and do an electrical kind of upgrade. It's a very minor one, but is that, how would we go about that, David? Just for curiosity.
Well, more than likely, we don't have an item in the contract for that. So we could, I'll just work with Gary Jewell and see if we can get that resolved.
Okay. And we may have got it done. I think we were working with Travis with the district on the electrical. So I think we were trying to come up with a solution, but it just knocked our electrical off. Actually, it unplugged our the irrigation that was there and plugged in the new irrigation. So it's like, oh, well, we got one out of two. But anyway, it's a great job. It looks phenomenal. Those little things are, you know, no big deals, but at least wanted to mention it. But
sure,
you guys did a great job. Just from getting to view it and watching it really ties the whole area together over there.
Thank
I'll be
you.
proud of.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I recognize a motion for approval. Don't do that. It's been moved and seconded.
Crushed. Yeah, hair.
Okay. Moving on, it passed. Next, we have the consent docket. I'd like to suggest that we approve all of them subject to individual consideration if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, we will approve A through O, excuse me. Any questions or comments? I would recommend or ask for a motion for approval. It's been moved by Pete, seconded by Jessica. We'll vote. It's approved. Thank you. Next, we have a ratification docket, $5,912,268.08. I would recommend that they be approved unless someone wants to talk about any specific item. Seeing none, would someone vote? Someone vote to approve it? Pete moved it. We'll vote. Approved. Thank you. Getting through those. Are there any comments by board, staff, or citizens?
Mr. Chairman, I failed to mention that because of timing with one of the, or two of the items that you saw today, the next month's meeting will be moved to the 8th. It won't be at the usual time. So I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, next meeting will be the 8th next month. Any other questions or comments? I would
Will we
recommend.
be continuing to meet like this for the foreseeable future? Yes?
Go ahead.
Until they relieve the requirement of 10 or less in a meeting, yeah, we will, as soon as we're able to do it safely. I'd like to not do this. But
Me too.
It'll be on a, pretty much a week by week basis until we determine what's going on.
Okay, so the meeting requests that I have been getting, I thought we were starting at 3 o'clock, because is that just when we want us to start logging in and that sort of thing? But the actual meeting's not start until 3:30, correct?
That was correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Seeing none, we were adjourned.